Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Good day, everyone. My name is Dr. Abdulhakeem of Mariam. You are most welcome to my weekly presentation as regarding business and how to go about having a successful business. This week, I'll be having a presentation with you with what has to do with start a business with what you have. And permit me to start with a simple but powerful question with you. Have you ever had a business idea but never started? Most people don't fail in business because they are lazy, or most people don't start a business simply because they are lazy. They simply don't know where to start. They they are held back because they are confused. They have fear of failure, and at the same time, they're in doubt. But today, I want to remind you of something important. You don't need to have everything before you start. You just need to start with what you have. You see, if you are waiting for perfect time, if you are waiting for perfect amount of money or perfect condition, right? It will just be like you are in trap. You are just trapped, or you just stay stuck, and your life will not move forward. So, because of that, this section is not just about our business, but about mindset and clarity. And I will try as much as possible to remove the confusion you might have because of your mindset and what is hindering you of starting your business. Now, as I normally start with the mindset, you have to decide of what you want. I'll be looking into that in terms of your mind, because most people today are confused. They don't really know what they want. So if you ask the majority of people, what do you want? They cannot tell you what they want. So because they don't know what they want, so they don't know the right action to take, then they are depressed and confused. So in order for you to solve this problem, firstly, you need to know what you want. You have to break it down. You have to sit down and write it out. What do you want? What do you really want? So if you know what you want, then we can now be thinking of how can we write a plan to achieve what we want? How do we put the consistency and hard work to get what we want? But if you don't know what you want, but you know you wanted something, but you don't know it, then you are confused, then you will not take any action, then you'll be depressed. This is what I see in majority of people today. So we need to avoid more confusion and at the same time write out what we want. It's not everybody does not want money. People think it's everybody that want money. No, some people want different thing. So it depends on you, but you need to write it out. What do you want? Then what is the best way? What's the best action you can take to achieve what you want? Are you getting the idea now? Because if you don't know where you are going, you will just end up somewhere else. So first of all, you need to know where you are going before you even start the journey initially. So people have a lot of ideas, though idea is just 10% and execution is 90%. Idea alone, I would like to talk more on that point. Idea alone is not enough to have a successful business. You might even have a very, very brilliant, a very, very bright idea. But if the execution is poor, then the idea is useless. So number one is our mind is very, very important. You need to ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You have to call upon him to guide you and you have to ask what you want from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You know, asking is the beginning of receiving. If you don't ask, you are blocking yourself from receiving, right? And you have to ask. If you want to ask, you have to ask with faith as well, believing that He's going to answer your prayer. So I don't want to sound like a motivational speaker because I'm here to talk about practical business. We have had enough of motivation online as well. But here I'm talking about real and practicable feed, what you can apply on the feed immediately for you to be able to move forward in your business. So number one, you need to avoid confusion. You need to know what you want. And the next step is to ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala of what you want, and then believe that you will receive what you want. You have to ask with faith, and at the same time, you have to believe that you will answer your prayer and give you what you want. And you have to assist the situation by being hard work and at the same time being disciplined with what you have in your plan. Now, another thing I'd like to talk about is chasing money. I see a lot of people today, too much people thinking about money all days. They never think about value. They never think about what problem they can solve. They never think about what value they can bring to the market. Thinking about money alone is a mistake. It's a mistake because thinking cannot bring you money. It's only when you have a value or when you solve a problem that money flow. So if that is the case, why don't you think about value you can create? Then let money flow in as a result of solving people's problem or as a result of bringing value to the market. And you see, again, thinking without taking action, thinking alone does not give you a result. It's only action that gives results, right? So if you are thinking and you are just in a place not taking action, don't think about getting anything changed because thinking does not change anything. Only action change. I get the idea. And what you need is not even more money. What you need is not even more money. What you need most is courage, your ability to have courage and clarity. And this is very easy if even if you are in ground zero, if you don't have anything and you are in need of money, one thing that is most important that everybody needs is sales. Go to any company, tell them you want to sell their product for them because they want to sell more. So you just have to do one or two things before you approach this kind of manufacturer or producer or a company or a businessman that has a product. They want to sell more. You get the idea. So what do you want to sell and who do you want to sell it for? Are you getting that point? And how do you want to sell it for them? Just 3 stages. The product, the niche, and at the same time, one page business plan on how to sell the product for the customer. So with this, if you can be thinking about this, at the end of the day, you just see that money just keep flowing into your pocket because you're not thinking about money, you're not worried about money, you only worry about what to sell and who to sell it for and how to sell it for them. Then you are in money. Are you getting the idea? Because when you bring value to the market, you will get paid. It's as easy as that. When you bring value to the market, when you solve problem in the market, you get paid. I don't want this video to be more lengthy, so let me move forward. Another thing is you need to start that business now. You need to start that business practically. All what you need is make sure that before you start, you have a customer that is ready to buy your product or service. Making sure that you have someone that is ready to pay for that business, that is ready to pay for that product. Even as a farmer, before you start cropping, before you start planting a product, You have to make sure that you have a buyer of that product. This will make it easy for you to sell your product after harvesting. Because if you start harvesting as a farmer and you are now looking for who will buy your product, then you will struggle. So initially, the best wisdom is for you to have someone that is demanding of that product before you even start selling that product. So don't just start a business without clear buyer in mind. No, it's not a good approach for business. People are doing it, and that's why you see them struggling. They will tell you there's no sales, there's no sales, there's no sales, because they don't have enough sales before they start selling product or service. It's a big mistake. It's a big mistake. So you are trying to sell, without knowing who's going to buy, without knowing who's going to come to you to buy your product. Then it will be a big mistake. Okay, now how do you even build a business that works? And I'm going to use a very simple approach now. I don't know your location. I don't know your status. I don't know your network. I don't know how many cash you have. I don't know your skill. But what I want to say now is generally, and it can work for anyone, anywhere. Number one, before you pick your business, make sure you are picking a cash flow business. Let your business be a cash flow business. Choose something that brings money fast and consistently, not just once. Let the money flow. Even the profit is low or is low, but make sure the money is flowing. Try to avoid a business that will take 1 year before you start making a profit. It's not a good for people that don't have enough capital or for a starter. So you need to pick a business that is cash flow. And if you already have one, you have to make sure you design it in a way that it will be a cash flow business. And then under that number one, you need to write out why you are starting that business. Why? You need a very strong reason so that you'll be able to stay focused when things get hard. Because when you start a business without having enough why and you face challenges, then you will drop. Your motivation will come down and you will close up. This is important why when you pick a cash flow business, you need to write out or you need to develop at least 1 to 3 why you are starting this business and to be a strong point. So this will serve as a strong backup for you to keep you moving when things get tough. And then number two is you need to sell online. Okay. You cannot depend only on your physical location. You need to sell it remotely. You need to come to social media to sell your product because everybody's online. Your customer is online. So you need to sell your business online. That's number two. Number three, uh, for me, I like B2B business simply because when you sell a business with a company, because companies have more money, they have more budget to buy anything they want to buy compared to B2C. I get the idea. So it is easier for you to sell and deal with companies that are dealing with individuals. So when you are picking your business, make sure your business is serving a company so that you'll be able to have enough money to develop your business. Okay. Another point, which is very, very important, is your business should solve a clear problem. Okay. It should solve a real problem, and the problem should be clear. Be specific with the problem you are solving. You have to be specific because if the customer is confused, then they will not buy. If they are convinced with your product or service, then they will not buy. So in order to avoid that, you have to understand what problem your business is solving and it should be specific. It's solving it for who? That's the point. So it's quite very, very important you take note of all these points before you pick a business. And lastly, you need to think about leverage. What are you trying to leverage upon in order for you to grow your business? What are the things you are trying to leverage upon? Maybe your network, or uh, uh, or you want to collaborate, or run a business with a partnership with some more people or some people. You just have to develop it. You have to think about what are you trying to leverage upon for you to be able to grow your business. It's quite very, very important. Uh, and I would like to say this before I end this slide. Don't just build a big business. Build a business that brings cash first. This is very, very important because you are a starter. So if you run a business that gives you cash, then you'll be able to survive, irrespective of profit or no profit. At least you have a cash in turn. So thank you very much for listening to me. By next week, I hope we'll be having a live webinar. Uh, it will be a live program. I think title of the program will be 0 to 1, where we'll be sharing more practical advice on how to start your business. Till then, thank you so much. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.